Good afternoon, everybody. It is Saturday afternoon, and we are getting set for a game that we haven't played yet on anything but HoldEm. Today we are in the Micro Millions 089 $5.50 5-card Omaha high-low game. Now that's a big mouthful, and it's a game that not a whole lot of people maybe even know exist. Partly I'm going to say that because at present there's only 660 people registered in this particular Micro Millions, and with a guarantee of $10,000 in the prize pool, that means at least at the moment there's a heck of an overlay going on there, folks. There is at the moment certainly less than 5K in the prize pool, probably something like 3,500 in the prize pool. Let me just do the math on that here for a second. We have got 663 people times $5 is, yes, $3,315 in the prize pool at the moment, folks. So, yeah, there's a heck of an overlay. Now, it is climbing, and what do we need? In this case, we need 2,000 people to have registered by the end of by the close of reg in order for us to make our $10,000 guarantee, which I suppose isn't that out of the realm of possibility. We're probably going to have 750 by the time the tournament starts up here in 5 or 6 minutes. Certainly 700 anyways. That leaves only 1,300 left to go. And I think as people see the overlay, certainly more experienced players are going to see the overlay, and their chops are going to start to go, I think. And they're going to want to get involved in something where there's so much dead money at the moment in the pot. So we'll probably hit the 10K guarantee. I would guess that we'll get to 2,000 players by the close of reg. I'm not sure that I would take bets either on over or under for 2,000 at the moment. I'm going to take bets probably on over 15 for sure. I think we get by the end of the day, but I don't. 2,000 is 2,000. We might not. So it'll be interesting to see what the final prize pool for today is. At the moment, however, things are looking relatively good in the prize pool, largely, I think, because of the overlay. Right now, we are sitting with $1,877 up top for first place. There's 88 places being paid out right now at the 697 people registered. A min cash will currently get us $26, which is pretty darn good, and you can see where the overlay is really bumping up the min caches there. Obviously, it's bumped up the upper cash at the moment as well. You wouldn't have anywhere near $1,800 for a cash in something like this, so it wasn't the 10K. But for a 550, you expect maybe a $9 or a $10 min cash, and we're at 24 right now still. So. I think we're doing pretty good with the overlay, folks. So yeah, it's good to have you here. I should be perfectly honest. I have never played 5-card Omaha before today. I'm absolutely positive. I saw the tournament in the Micro Millions lineup this morning, and actually last night is when I first saw it, and I started playing some satellites to try to get a ticket, and I sort of aggressively started playing today. I gotta say, I probably paid the $5.50 buy-in at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure I spent $2.90 in real money and 200 FPPs. So at the worst, I think it's probably a wash. But at best, maybe I'm in for 70 or 80% of the face value of the tournament. But either way, it's going to be fun. If this was a straight 5-card Omaha high tournament, I probably wouldn't be interested in playing it, frankly, because I think I just get my ass wiped off the floor. The fact that it's a high-low tournament, and I'm reasonably confident in my high-low games, no matter what sort of variant they happen to be, made me want to sort of play for the ticket. I might have still played for the ticket with a PLO, or with a 5-card PLO type situation, but it's probably less likely because I'd feel less likely that I'd even get the ticket without spending more money than the buy-in to get it. With the high-low component, I was reasonably confident in thinking that I would get in at, at par or less by playing satellites. So we'll see how this goes. It should be fun. The fifth card obviously makes it quite a bizarre game. The main difference between today's five card Omaha high low and the Courchevel high low that we were playing yesterday is that in Courchevel you're getting a free flop card to look at before you decide on your pre-flop betting action. In a five card Omaha, that's not the case. It is just straight Omaha, other than the fact that you're getting five cards. So there's no free flop card. You're still using two out of your hand and three on the board. You've just got five in your hand to work from instead of four in your hand to work from, as you get in normal. Omaha. So the fifth card obviously adds a ton of permutations and combinations to the sorts of hands that are going to get made, both on the high end and on the low end. And you really have to start looking more at the things like the ace deuce 3 and the ace deuce 4 combinations as your nuts, because you're going to get knocked out by other ones sometimes, and really the place you're going to be at. You also have to expect more split lows as more people get ace deuce and play ace deuce. So those are the sorts of things that you want to think about, I think, with the five card Omaha high low situation. That said, as I've said, this is really the first time that I've ever played the game, so I honestly don't know. How good, what my strategy is going to be like. I have played Omaha high low before, as you've seen on this stream. And done okay with it, but the fifth card certainly adds more of a thing. Now, the fact that it's a pretty low reg at the moment tells me that there's probably a fair number of regular five card Omaha high-low players, or at least five card Omaha players. I'm actually feeling reasonably comfortable against even people that play five card Omaha high regularly, because the low component really is going to mess with their game, I think. Wow. Look at this. On the first hand, we've got people shoving 5,000 chips in 10-20 blinds. Wow. This looks to be quite the interesting. This looks to be quite the interesting Micro Millions. This is really quite a fun hand, I think. We'll have to see how this turns out. I'm obviously folding here. I mean, a pair of threes with the 3-6 and the three clubs is just not going to win me pots here, and I want to live to play at least one more hand in this, first hand. I don't think I need to be all in with a hand like this on, but I'm curious to see what these two guys are playing around with up here. It'll be interesting to see what happens when those hands get flipped over. Wow. This guy at least is reasonable and doing something that makes some sense, even though he busted. The one that won the hand there was just bizarre, I thought. Gonna have to pull up the hand history and have a quick look at that. That one went by pretty quick for me to see. The deuce 5, we could certainly play with the three diamonds here and the 5-7-8 straight cards. But I think I'm gonna play out this table a little bit and see if we got like idiot people shoving, or I won't say idiot people shoving, but people shoving billions of big blinds in on a regular basis, because I really did not expect to see that on the first hand of a Micro Millions tournament, even if it's a tournament that I think that there's probably going to be a lot of people who don't necessarily play it on a regular basis coming in. I think there's going to be a lot of sharks in here as well, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that go, oh, what's this? Let's reg in it and see. So it's going to be an interesting mix in this one, I think. Unlike, say, a Hold'em, where you can expect that there's going to be a consistent level of play, certainly amongst the final 1,000 of a 10,000 person Hold'em tournament. Here, I really don't know what to expect as far as the play is concerned. I think I'm going to get involved with this hand, see what happens when I throw some chips into the pot, see how the aggression at the rest of the table acts out against me. I'm reasonably strong on low, obviously, with the 3-2. The pair of deuces is decent on high. Of course, the problem with that is it kills my low, or, well, it doesn't kill my low, but it really devalues my low if I actually improve on the deuces for high. So it's not the best situation when you're playing a high-low type of pot to be looking at a pair of deuces for high, or pair of threes, pair of fours for that matter. Same sort of argument against them actually. But in this case, we've actually pretty much flopped the nuts as far as we go. We don't really still have much of a high, but we've got the nut low draw at this point. Getting this ace on board was just like manna from heaven, I think. So yeah, we're pretty happy. We're pretty happy to see where we are at this point. We're pretty happy to keep calling and putting chips in the pot to see what comes up. The three we don't like very much. It kills our wonderful deuces that we have in our hand unless we get another deuce. It also does somewhat nasty things to our low draw. That said, the deuce does give us the nuts, and really it's only the four deuce at this point that is getting us. Now that could very well be there. Wow. Now this is a tough choice. This is a real decision because I've got the second nut low, I believe, with my six deuce. There's obviously one low out there that is the nut low. I've now got three threes as well for my high. Now the ace three is a hell of a possibility here for a full house. The 5-3 is not a bad possibility for a full house either. So I really think that I'm probably dead on both ends here. But it's a tough hand to fold in this situation, I think, with the six deuce second nut low there. Four deuce and ace is full. Yep. So I mean, the obviously my read there. I don't want to toot my own horn, but my read there seemed pretty bang on with what was going on. It was. But that's a nice spot where you've got a nice example of in the Omaha variants, and I think especially in the 5 card, where you've got a hand that looks pretty freaking strong there on the river, both high and low, and you've got to get rid of it because you know that the nuts are going to be sitting out there somewhere. So. Well, that's interesting. So that was I think a pretty big fold on our part, and a pretty appropriate fold given the situation. I mean, I think that if you reason that hand out, it's not a difficult fold. It's pretty obvious that you're crushed on both ends there. But I think maybe a less experienced player might have gone, "Ooh, I've got the second nut low. Let's go play with that. I've got a set of threes. Let's go play with that." So I think that's certainly a place where you need to be wary in an Omaha situation, and especially in a 5 card Omaha situation where you've got that extra card in play that's just gonna throw monkey wrenches into your calculations all the time. Good to see some people on stream. Rosalind, awesome. Good to see you. You bubbled the Saudi. Oh my God, that's horrible. Well, I got to admit, I don't know if you were on right at the beginning, but yeah, I did spend some of my own cash to get into this. I think I've pretty much broken even. I don't think I've spent more than the face value to get into it. So I think at worst I'm playing a ticket. But yeah, I did spend $2.90 in real cash and 200 FPPs before I finally got my Saudi ticket in here. It's good to see you back though. Thanks for setting up the tournament yesterday, by the way. We've got a few people in. Hopefully a few more people will come to the stream tonight and hear about it and go in. We got a retweet from the European editor at Poker News, so that was a pretty good one to like 1,300 followers. So hopefully some of them will come in. It's pretty late for the Europeans, but still, we'll see. Hopefully, some of his followers are gonna hopefully some of his followers are gonna see what's are gonna see it and come join. Alrighty, so we got ace 3-3-4-4. This is the sort of hand that high-low players have wet dreams about in the middle of the night, and we wake up with wet bed sheets because of hands like this. This is a very pretty sort of high-low hand. The only way this could be prettier is if there was one less club, and if part of the 3-4 was suited, like the other 3-4 was suited. But this is a darned pretty hand when you're playing any sort of high-low variant. I hope people are seeing me. I'm not sure how long it took to get the first game started, but I hope you guys are seeing and hearing me. I'm sure that in chat you would type something if it was coming up with a problem. Oh, ha! Silly me. The problem is me. The reason you guys aren't seeing my table is because I'm actually not showing my table at the moment. That's I'm a bit of an idiot because I'm sitting here talking about hands that you can't see. Alrighty, there we go. We have the or I have it up now. So hopefully you will start to see it now. I'm sorry you weren't watching the hands that I was talking about before, but what can I do? I'm just one guy sitting here clicking buttons. Alrighty, well, in about 3 minutes, I hope that you, well, of course, when you hear my voice, you'll already hopefully be seeing the actual table that I'm playing. But 3 minutes from now, when I'm saying this, you will be seeing the table that I'm playing. This is an interesting hand developed. I don't have a horrible low, but of course I don't have a great low either at the moment. I don't actually have a low at the moment. But I do have two pair 10s and 5s, and I do have some straight possibilities with the 7, 10, Jack, 9, 10 in my hand. So I think I'm probably going to stay involved here and just see what happens. With the queen, does the queen give me? The queen gives me nothing. No, because I have to use 3 cards in my hand to get anything using the queen. It does still give me 2 pair though, which means I'm probably check calling unless there's an insane sort of, unless Passapir goes insane on the betting, which seems to be his order of business. He's Canadian too. It's really hard to know what he's calling, what he's doing this with here, and whether it's worth a call from me or not at this stage. I mean, we've been seeing him make some pretty aggressive big pot and over pot size bets. For the record, this is a no limit tournament, not a pot limit tournament, so we can bet as much as we want. But either way, whether I think he's messing around or not with his betting, I don't really have a strong enough hand, I think, at this point to call in either end. I don't have a low hand that plays because the 3 pairs out. So I really don't think I can afford to play that hand in any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, and it seemed likely that I was going to lose. It seemed likely that I was going to lose that pot. Well, actually, no. I would have won the high, I guess, with my tens and fours. Um, but I don't really think that, given the board that came up, that's really the best place to be putting my money. Now this hand is a pretty good place to put my money. I've got all of my cards can potentially play for lows depending on what comes out. The ace three as the base low is pretty good. Obviously, the second nut low. Having the pair of fives never hurts. The ace 3 5 7 is a great straight possibility depending on what comes out. So we've hit a set of fives on the flop. Of course, this being Omaha, we have not hit a full house, which Hold'em players might immediately look at this and think we've hit fives full of aces. We have not, because we can't. We can only use two cards, of course, out of our 5-card hand. So we can either only use an ace and a five, or two fives, or an ace and another card, which of course there's no reason for us to do. But so the only way that we get this is three of a kind fives. If the board pairs, that's the way we get. We get a full house. We've just also turned into a flush draw, and we've got decent lows here. So I mean, I think we're actually going to start putting money into this pot. We're going to start thinking that we're actually value betting into this thing. With pass appear out, nobody else has been playing hyper aggressive, so we don't have to worry about getting pushed off of the pot with like over aggressive play. But we've got a strong enough hand here, I think, that we're probably not able to go anywhere no matter what happens. You know, playing the 7-5-4-3 ace is a pretty decent low. Playing the three of a kind fives on this board is pretty decent. The deuce three is obviously taking us for both ends, which definitely could be out there. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think we probably. Yep, deuce three takes us on both ends. I mean, I think, despite the fact that I called that, I think that the 2-to-1 odds and the fact that there's other, I think that there's worse hands that he could be betting that sort of a place in. That I probably still need to make that call, even though I know that the deuce three is a good possibility to be there. Yes, well, hopefully, Rosalind, by the time or shortly, you'll actually be seeing the table shortly. I hope. Hopefully, you can see the table now. I can see the table now on my live stream window. I was stupid. I had the element turned off in my broadcast software by mistake when I was configuring beforehand, and I never turned it on again. So hopefully it's on. Hopefully you can see it now. So we're not doing so hot in this one so far, but we still got plenty of chips. We still got plenty of a stack. We can still work with some things. I think we've made one big fold that was the right fold at the right time, both in terms of results and in terms of the way we thought about the hand to make the fold. We've made one call that didn't work out that I don't necessarily think was a bad call, given what we were playing. But I also don't think it was a great call. I mean, it was one of those where I called the hand that was going to beat me and that did beat me before I made the call, and that's never a good feeling. But at the same time, it tells you that you're at least thinking about the hand in the way that you need to think about it. Hopefully you're seeing the table now. Alrighty, I think we're gonna limp in with this one and see what happens here. See what we pick up on the flop. We got the ace-3, which is a pretty good low hand. We got all those clubs, which could turn into a club flush with straight possibilities and all that jazz coming out. So I think obviously we're continuing on this hand. Clearly, the chance of an ace club, an ace club running over us a bit is out there. But at this point, I can't really be too concerned about that. And especially not with the way this has been going. I think now that I was going to just call through and see what happened on the turn, but I think now that we've got... No, I think I'm just going to call through again and just see how this goes, because I'm still thinking that there could be an ace flush out there. As I said, I mean, obviously people keep aces more so in this, or as much in this game as in any other game. So, I mean, I think I'm still happy putting chips in the pot, but I'm not going to go crazy with, like, re-raises and reshoves and things like that. Okay, so the flush is the best hand out here. The flush is the nut hand as far as the high is concerned. It's just a matter of whether there's an ace or a king flush out there that's beating us. We're pretty happy with our low hand being the ace-3, I think. And I think we're calling this again. I mean, if I'm lighting chips on fire, then that's just the way it goes. But, yeah. Well, at least we split. At least we split the low. Got a lot of clubs out on that board. I mean, there's 3 on the board. There's 3 in my hand, 2 in his hand. A lot of clubs. A lot of clubs came out there. Let me know in chat that you can see the table. I'm sure you can see it now, or I hope you can see it now. But let me know in chat if you can see the table, please. As I mentioned at the start of the broadcast, this really is the first time I've ever played 5-card Omaha high-low. I saw it in the Micro Millions lineup and figured I'd try to play some sats so I could run a segment on the show. For that, I had literally, I'm positive, never played a game of 5-card Omaha high-low. It's obviously very similar in many ways to the Courchevel that we played yesterday. Big difference being we're not seeing a free flop card this time before we have to act like we do in Courchevel. So that changes how you act pre-flop to a large degree, obviously. But otherwise, it plays very much the same. It also obviously plays very much the same as 08 does. Just adding the extra card adds more combinations and permutations, obviously. Having trips in an Omaha situation is never a good thing, so we're going to get rid of that, especially with a 7-5 as our best low draw there. Not worth doing. Good. Rosalind says she can see now. That is awesome. Good to have a few people here watching. Hopefully we can get a few more in. I am going to do some more tweeting, I think, on the first break, and we'll see from there. Obviously not doing great. We're chipped down from our 5,000 start stack, but equally, I'm not hugely terrified with this. I mean, I've still got 60 odd big blinds with this, so there's really nothing to be terribly worried about at this situation. We, of course, would have flopped a pair of sevens there, which doesn't beat any of our jacks that we had, any of our three pairs of jacks that we could have picked to play there. Um, you're almost always getting out of hands like that. That actually just makes us almost dead for low, as well as being in bad shape for high. This is a playable hand in high-low. The 3-5-6 is good. Fives are very key cards in high-low games because you need a five. Every low hand that you can make is going to have a five in it. That's an important principle to remember when you're playing high-low. People think that the ace deuce is a key card, and it is. Don't get me wrong. The ace deuce is a very important, very powerful hand when you're playing something like Omaha. To have that in your hand is very good. But fives are never a terrible thing either because, as I said, every low hand that you make is going to have a five in it. It's not always going to have an ace in it. It's not always going to have a deuce in it. But every low, well, I shouldn't say every low hand, but every low hand can have a five in it. Is what I'm saying. I mean, you can obviously make one that's an 8-6, 4-3 deuce that doesn't have a five in it. But the five is in the range for all of your low hands. It also allows you to straight out for your high with all of your low hands, or with the low hands that hit it. So it's a very powerful card. 4-5-7, same argument. The pair of queens up top is useful. I've talked about that in the past, though, where basically when your pair of queens improve, it takes away a potential card to use for making a good low hand. So it's probably not as bad in an Omaha context as it is in a stud context, but it's not necessarily a situation that you really want to be involved in. This isn't the strongest low hand in the world either, but I just kind of feel like playing a pot or two and seeing if I can't suck out some low draws a little bit. The king might. The king's not a huge possibility to have hit anybody because being a high-low game, not a lot of people are gonna do kings, but I'm still not really gonna put any money in the pot in this case. The straight cards out there really hurt us. Because we obviously can't make a straight in this using this configuration, and that really hurts us. The diamonds, of course, give us a bit of a diamond draw, but as we've seen before, that's not necessarily a lock on high, right? So there's going to be no low, so this is going to be only played high. There's no other thing to go. I think I'm probably check calling here, or I think I'm probably calling here. I mean. Just because I've still got the pair of queens, I've got the diamond draw. I can't really justify getting out for, what am I getting, 1,000,000,000 to 1 odds there? I mean, realistically, like 5 to 1 odds. I don't really think I can justify getting out with the strength of the hand that I have. That's given me fives and fours, which could well be good on this board. There's possibility of something like an ace queen, but I think it's less likely. There's also possibilities of things like the king 5, king 4, and other various two pair combinations and sets. I think this is one of those spots where I'm going to hero fold. I don't really know what he had, but I think it's got to be better than two pair of 5s and 4s on that river. Anyways, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back shortly when the break is done. And we are back just as the first hand is dealt after the break. We actually have 1,180 people in the tournament now, which means we still have a heck of an overlay. We still have about $4,000 overlay going on in the tournament, but we're getting close to it anyways, and there's still an hour and a half of reg left, so it looks like a good chance that we'll hit the guarantee. I see Roz is in. Awesome. That is good. Glad that you regged in as well. It is gonna be a fun tournament. Hope to see you at the final table. Watch out for Roz, everybody. She is a high-low specialist, so she's going to be out there eating up these pots, I think. Rosalind, of course, is the friendly viewer who put together our tournament coming up tomorrow night, which runs at 1800 Mountain Time. It will be an 08 tournament for $1.10 entry fee. Everybody is welcome to join and play. Password is Elron66. I'm going to put that up on the screen here, I think. But yes, please come by. Search, go to the PokerStars tournament lobby and search Elron in the little search box, and you will find one and only tournament with Elron in the name. So with 1,191 people in the tournament now, the prize pool, of course, is still $10,000. Our prizes are working out to $1,750 for first place. And down at the bottom, our min cash is a little bit more reasonable than it was when we first sat down at $10.90. That's a little closer to what you expect to see for min cash. Well, when we sat down and they were min cashing us at $24, that was a bit of a surprise for a $5 tournament. But now there's a few more people entering, and of course there's not quite as much of an overlay. The money's coming away from the bottom places again. I am playing another tournament in another window, for the record. I'm playing another one of the PSO home game ones. It's just a regular no limit HoldEm game going on in there, but just if I get distracted, that's probably where my attention is focused. That says I'm probably going to be focused more on the 550 game over here that I'm streaming, so hopefully I won't get distracted too much with it. I'm going to do a quick scroll through the list of players and see if I see any names that are familiar, any red stars or red spades beside any of the people. Bad Bones 141 from Canada. I'm pretty sure I recognize him from other games, and would definitely pay attention to him. Not really seeing much for red spades in here, which is kind of surprising. I would have thought I'd see a few in here anyways for this one. I haven't got to the bottom of the list yet, but Sorry, I'm not ignoring you on stream. I'm just looking through the list to see if I see any spades playing this one. So far, I'm not seeing anything. I'm more than halfway through the list, and I haven't found a spade yet. That's looking like a reasonably crappy high-low hand. It would be a good hand for straight Omaha high, I think. With the eights and the tens and the double suited, and that of course makes it a reasonably strong hand in any Omaha game. But with absolutely no low draw whatsoever, I just don't think that it's worth us putting any of our 50 odd remaining big blinds, 54 remaining big blinds into the pot. I think we're far better off folding this and waiting for a better opportunity, frankly. Just came across one of the guys I was battling with in the satellites as I'm looking through this list. Red Dragon 166 was in a bunch of the satellites. And I think he's in the... I might be in some of the PSOs with me as well, quite possibly. I definitely recognize him, and I've definitely was battling with him for the last few hours in satellites. See, Rosalind, aka AKKA, is in. She's doing okay, a little down from the main chip stack, but nowhere near as bad as I am. I'll keep her table up on the side, and we'll rail her as well. Yep, that's surprising. I don't see a single person in this list so far with a red spade beside their name, which I would have expected. There would be. Deuce 4, 5, 7 would be a reasonably strong low hand to draw into, but we're not going to go for our stack, I don't think, with this. I think that's a bit silly. Would be a bit silly to go for our stack with a hand like that. Been known to be silly, as you've seen on this stream, but in this case, I think I probably will not be particularly silly. So yeah, I don't see a single red spade in the whole list, which is kind of surprising, actually, given a tournament with this much of an overlay. Maybe we'll see them pop in a little bit later. 1646 total in now, so it seems almost impossible that we wouldn't make the overlay or make the guarantee at this point. 77599. I don't think we need to get involved with that really at this point either. So we aren't quite at the 10K prize pool yet, but we're only 400 people off of the 10K prize pool, so I don't think that we're in a huge danger of missing it at this point. Yeah, it's a crazy. People are playing crazy style in this. It's definitely not a. It definitely doesn't seem to me to be a measured affair in this. This is like a shove fest at the tables I've been at. I mean, we're still sitting with 50 big blinds over here, so I mean, we're not in any real panic mode or danger mode or anything like that. We can, pretty easily play a tight, aggressive style where we fold a lot of hands and wait until we get dealt big hands pre-flop that we can start to put money in the pot with. That, of course, has the added benefit of if you're not playing a lot of hands, when you do start to play hands aggressively, it makes other people tend to be more cautious with you. Although that's not always the case, but it obviously tends to work that way when you don't play a ton of hands and then you play one aggressively. People tend to think it's a big hand. Um, so I think at this stage, probably, especially now that I've chipped myself down to half a stack, um, it probably makes good sense to play as tight aggressive as I can. I got two suits here, which is useful. Only the 5-3 for low though is not really going to be a lot of useful. There's no nut suit, and the 9-10 queen works reasonably well as a straight draw up top with straight flush possibilities with 9 of the queen and all that. But it's just not. I think still it's just not a hand that's something I need to be putting money in to the pot at this point with. 2-3-5-6. I think this is one that I'll at least get involved for a limp and see how it plays out. Right, so we flopped a pair of fives. We got decent low draws. We haven't really hit much for our high other than the pair of fives, but the low at this point is not good enough to be calling an all in with here. We probably continue to a half pot bet, but we probably don't continue. We certainly don't continue here, and we probably don't continue to a pot bet either. I think with a hand like that. This is another one that I think I've got to be in for a limp at least, anyways, and see how it develops. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's just way too many low and straight possibilities in that to ignore. A couple of suits, diamonds and spades, both of which could hit a straight flush. So it's definitely the kind of hand you want to be involved in a high-low game, I think. Um, we've of course hit a flop that's pretty awful for our hand. The low possibilities are pretty minimal at this point. That said, if a low does come in, we have the nut with the deuce three, which is always a good place to be. But our chances of having a low with only one low card on the flop are much lower, of course. If they check through to the turn and we can get a free turn, obviously we love that. Obviously, we don't love Lucky Me shoving, and Lucky Me shoving seems to be the theme of the day, at least over the last few hands. So we're gonna have to keep our eye on that, but we absolutely can't call in this situation. I don't think. I mean, there's no, it's out for our low, and we've just got nothing for high that has any value. That said, with the way Lucky Me is playing, if we keep limping into pots, we're going to hit a big hand. And when we hit a big hand, he's going to stack us, and we're gonna double up through him. So we're definitely going to keep our eye on him, and we're definitely going to want to be in hands that can be big and that hit big when he's doing that shove thing. Get rid of this. There's really no low possibility there, and there's there's obviously high straights there and flushes, but the flush with the diamonds, but it's just not something that I think I need to be necessarily involved in. Ace 557 Jack. Certainly not the worst hand to get involved with, I think. And given that I can probably get in for a 30 chip limp, I think I really have no. At that point, I mean, I'm getting what 30 into 390, which is 13 to 1 odds or some ridiculous thing like that. So there's no hand in the world that I could actually fold mathematically at that point. We've got a backdoor straight draw with the 7 and Jack 9-10. The low is still in play with the Ace 5. So yeah, we're still doing okay here. We're not thrilled, but we're still doing okay. I think we're in this for 180, pretty much without question at this point. We're still doing reasonably well on both ends, and we still have reasonably good possibilities. And for the odds that we're getting there, I don't really think that we have much choice but to call. That gives us the bookend straight, 7 through Jack. So that's not a horrible hand for high, not a great hand for high, because obviously the Jack Queen caps us. That said, being a high-low game, the Jack Queen is less likely to be out there. I'm fairly comfortable putting chips into this pot. I don't think I'll bet it, but I'm fairly comfortable calling. I'm fairly comfortable calling off, of course, barring Lucky Me doing the crazy thing. So it looks like I'm going to take the high, and I will probably split high low with Peakle. So that worked out pretty much the way I kind of expected it to. That sucks, Rosalind. Sorry, man. That's terrible. But hey, this is pokers. That will happen from time to time. And here I was going to put your table up on stream and everything. That's okay, folks. Rosalind's out, but we're still having fun here, at least for a little while. We still got 2,892 chips, which at our current blind levels means we still have like 40, close to 50 big blinds. So we're not in any, we're not at all terrified or panicked or anything about our situation. It's not obviously the situation we'd love to be in at this stage, but it's not one that is horrible either. Our registration is creeping up on that magic 2,000 person number for needed to make the guarantee. We're at 1,803 now, with an hour and 5 minutes left in reg. So it seems pretty likely that we'll hit the guarantee of, at this point, an over of 2,000 seems very likely. We might even get as high as 2,500. Now that I'm looking at this, which would add another 5K to the prize pool, or another 2,500 to the prize pool, roughly, over and above the 10K. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool. At the moment, our prizes are sitting as a 950 for a min cash, and 1,750 still is up top, of course, because that's not changing a huge amount with the fact that the guarantee is still set at 10,000. Fold that out, I think. So our first place player is Gioja from Venezuela, or Gioja, with 51,902 chips. So he's been having a bit of a rip-roaring day so far. He, or she, I should say, has been having a rip-roaring day so far. Four, five, seven, 10 jack. Probably don't need to get too heavily involved with that. Win position, we could try raise here and see what happens. I prefer not to do that on pass pairs big blind. I should probably be paying more attention to the position and doing some position raises, even with hands I don't get. But I haven't been having a ton of spots where I'm getting folded to, so I can make an open. That was it's one of the first times I'm remembering in recent memory that I've open folded. It's usually been folding after somebody else has had action in the pot, I think. Three, four, seven. Another one that's got some low possibilities, of course. Probably this early in the rotation, and given the dynamic that's been happening, I probably don't need to get involved there either. I do need to start getting involved eventually. Hitting the four there would have pretty much killed our hand, though, in this case, so being results oriented, it was a good fold. And I really just think that there's not enough happening there for me on either end to really make that a hand that I want to go crazy on. Now, of course, I've just hit a set of fours, so that certainly helps matters a little bit. But even still, and that ends up basically with fours. Yeah, I would have lost that pot for sure, and I would have been playing it aggressively too with when that second four came, I think. So, alrighty, deuce six. I don't think we need to get involved there very much either. $18.55 registered now, so we're 145 people off the the 10K guarantee. We're getting close, so there's no question that we'll crack it. I think we're certainly looking at a 2,500 odd person tournament here by the end of the day. Currently 240 places being paid. 1750 up top, 950 for the min cash. We are in blind level 4080 with 5100 coming up in 8 minutes with an ante of 10. So we're hitting the antes, and in 8 minutes I'll be down to 28 big blinds. So I've really got to start thinking about the fact that I need to start accumulating chips. I can't just keep waiting for a massive hand to go. I have to start thinking about accumulating more chips, because obviously the massive hand isn't coming at this point in time. Deuce 5-7 with the hearts going. I mean, as I've said before, I really don't like the hands with the 3 of the same suit in them, just because you've got a dead suited card then. And less chance of it coming out on the flop. Well, obviously no chance of it coming out on the flop for you, but less chance of your suit in general coming out. So I tend to not want to get involved if I've got 3 of one suit in an Omaha situation. Tweet for announcing the stream has just got favorited by Kaylin McNeil, who, if you happen to recall from the WSOP this year, final tabled the Omaha 8, one of the Omaha 8 tournaments, and it was the second year in a row that he had done that specific feat, final tabling the same Omaha 8 tournament. So it was a pretty awesome year for him, and it's pretty awesome to see him promoting our little 5-card Omaha stream going here. So thanks, Kalen, appreciate that, buddy. He's a fun guy to hang out with at a poker tournament as well. He's a pretty good fellow, I gotta say. I've been at a couple of Canadian Poker Tour events where I've been live covering while he's been playing, and he's a pretty good fellow. Five, 3, 10 Jack Queen. I mean, this obviously has some possibilities, and if we get a chance to see a cheap flop, we're almost certainly going to do it to see a cheap flop. And I mean, this is looking sort of a semi-ideal for us to be able to get to check through to a flop in this case and assess our situation at that point. It seems unlikely that Paul would do anything. He might decide to squeeze there. That's not as popular of a play in the Omaha because there's just so many possible combinations of hands. You never have even close to the nuts pre-flop. So 8, 9, 10 Jack. So obviously we've flopped an open ender and a good open ender. We're at the top end of our open ender, which is always the place that you want to be. We've paired our 3, which craps out any low draw we have, but having only one low card on the draw doesn't actually kill us with that. I think we want to throw some money in this pot. It's possible that somebody's connected with the 8 or the 9, but there's enough draw-y stuff out there that people are going to be fairly cautious if that's the hand that they're on, and really the only other hand that in theory is going to play back against us with any credibility would be the Jack 10 that we're matching at this point. Now, this is of course lucky me again, which is very annoying because we know that he's been doing this shove thing on a damn regular basis, and it's a bit annoying. But again, we're only on a pair of 3s with a drawing hand at this point and no lows, so I think that probably we don't have enough to call again with this. One of these days he's gonna double us. I'm positive that he's gonna double us because I can't see him being mega strong every time he's done that. He's just doing it too often for him to be super strong when he's doing that on most occasions. And I mean, I think that dynamic was almost certainly the fact that in a limped pot preflop like that, when the big blind leads out, it's very often can be interpreted as just an attempt by the big blind to say, "I want to take this pot down. Nobody else seemed interested in preflop, so let's assume that I've hit the flop and go from there." That's obviously not a hand that we really want to be playing in a high-low scenario. There's another exit, so 1,032 people left in the tournament. What's our registration numbers at now? Registration numbers at 1921 total. So that's 79 people off the required for the guarantee. 53 minutes of late reg left, so if you're out there listening and still want to get in, you still have a chance to get in. Wasn't it, though, just a huge Helmuthian name drop? Well, what can I say? The guy favorited my tweet. I mean, I got to announce shit like that, don't I? You know? I mean, it's the big wheel. When the big wheel favors your tweet, you gotta make a deal about it. Alrighty, what do we got over here? We got a deuce 5, 6, 8. We got a bunch of diamonds and a couple of hearts. So we could probably see a flop with this and expect semi-good results on some occasions. So I think it's probably worth calling through given the sorts of odds that we're getting. And flopping the heart draw there is never a terrible thing. The ace means that our deuce 5 is stronger than it would have been under normal circumstances for a low. Oh no, the 5 is there, so we've paired that, so it's a 6 deuce, which still, I mean, still the ace there means that it's stronger, but you know, it's still not obviously great. There's 4-3, 4 deuce, 3 deuce that take us out for low. We're gonna check through and see if we see what else we get on the turn. If we get a heart on the turn, then we're probably in pretty good shape. Although, as we've seen in previous games, the chance of having the heart, you know, the ace heart draw out there is always a possibility. The deuce of hearts was well, no, I've got the deuce of hearts, so nobody's playing the ace deuce hearts, which is the most likely way for an ace heart to get out there. Of course, ace 3, ace 4 heart can also run the same, but again, I think checking through here is the thing to do. I don't really think that risking chips. Presumably, that's somebody who's on an ace. If you think that they're already on a full house, you would think that that would bet the flop, because that's either going to be an ace and a paired card, which is going to be two paired to bet the flop, or it's going to be a set of tens or fives. So most likely is an ace 10, ace 5 type situation here, I think, for him, giving him a full house, which would make my flush bad. So I think the logical thing to do here is fold. Wow, that gave us fives, a set of fives. Actually, fives full of tens. But Yeah, ace 10. I mean, I still think that even with the fives full of tens, it's just not. This is Omaha. That's not. It's not the nuts, so therefore you're not going to win with it. Um, so I mean, I really think there you've got to look at those. You've got to look at those permutations and say, well, what is he doing that with? What has happened on this turn card to make him now? The fact that he didn't bet the two pair on the flop is interesting and worth noting for him. Um, I don't think two pair is necessarily hugely strong on that flop, but it's probably worth a bet when he's in position. Everybody's checked around to him at that point, and he's sitting with two pair aces, top two pair basically aces and tens. Seems odd that he wouldn't bet. I'm sure if I went out there, I'm sure I might be able to get some. Dude, put a big wheel burger logo on the stream there somewhere. I've got space that I'm sure I could put it on, and I'll get burgers for life whenever I'm in Victoria. He needs to open up some franchises out here in Medicine Hat. And that was the hand we should have stayed in on. We would have done reasonably well. I'm not sure that we would have actually won the low on that. What are we sitting at? 8. No, we don't actually have a low. Oh yeah, 8-7, 5-3 deuce. Um, but not a great low. We would have maybe taken a flush, but it's not the greatest flush in the world either. Um, Again, as we saw earlier, unless you're on the ace flush, you're not necessarily that thrilled with the fact that you're on a flush. Yep, there we go. Ace jack. 3-3-4-7-9 with a couple of different like spades and clubs. You certainly could get involved with that. I think you can reasonably fold it as well. Your pair of threes isn't that strong for high. Your 3-4 isn't that strong for low, unless you're basically hoping for an ace and or a deuce on the flop. When you're playing a 3-4 like that, and that's obviously not a great thing to be hoping for. So I don't know. That could probably be called nit bitchery by some people, but I'm not sure that it's a terrible case of nit bitchery. Of course, when the deuce five pops up on the flop, that's when the poker gods just kind of come along and slap you in the face for your nit bitchery. Because of course that actually puts you in awesome shape for both low and high. You're open ended for low with the 7 up top when the 6 comes, so you've actually got that little ace in the hole there, and you're sitting pretty for low. The ace deuce has just been capped out, so really only the ace 3 at this point is the one that's bugging you. So this is an example of, yes, there we go. This is an example of the poker gods slapping me around the head and face for my nit bitchery. Because I'm pretty sure that I'd not out this hand, or at least I split not out this hand. Actually, it looks like Sylvie and I would have. Yeah, it looks like Sylvie and I would have split high, and Bossy would have taken low, so he would have quartered both of us, which is not a place you want to be. That one I certainly could have played as well with the ace, queen diamonds, and then the 4 ace for low. Um, Yeah, I probably should have played that, to be perfectly honest. I think there's probably too much value in that for me to be folding it. Having said that, with lucky me up here in the blinds, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, and things like that could easily happen, which means you've just thrown away 100 chips or 200 chips if you've raised into the pot or whatever. So, but I'm pretty sure that given that propensity he has, I can't believe that he's doing that with the nuts all the time. So, I really think that if we can bide our time, and if we're still around, he's going to double us up at some point with that sort of behavior. At least that was a hand that I legitimately should fold in a high-low situation. That one was an easy decision to make. There's very little value in that high-low situation because you're begging for there only to be a low. I've obviously got the Broadway draw in this case, but even still with the Ace Deuce 4 out there, the Broadway draws at best I'm looking at half the pot. Okay, I've got the 8-7, but that's not going to win me any low draws. Four deuce with the 10-10, and 9-10 for straight possibilities. I think it's definitely in the big blind. I've already got 100 in there. It was 100 into 780, so I'm getting 7.8 to 1 odds, which means that there's really no set of 5 cards in the world that I should ever think about folding pre-flop for those sorts of odds, from what I've been able to gather. Not the worst flop in the world for us. The the ace actually increases the value of our deuce 4 low hand. The 3 deuce is now the only hand that's nuttier than us as far as the low is concerned. We obviously don't have much going for high, and there's a good chance that the ace or the queen has capped our 10s off for the high draw. And I really think this is a point where I may have to put my tournament life on the line to draw for that low. Well, no, I don't think, again, I think that other people, I just think that there's too many people in this pot at this stage for me to be drawing to a non-nut hand with just 10-10 on an ace-queen board. I had seriously considered jumping in, and it might have been the wrong. I'm really looking for a 3 to come up in this case to make sure that my 4 deuce is the nuts. And obviously anything else that comes up, I'm still vulnerable to the nuts. So I think he's going to take down another pot uncontested. I mean, I obviously can't fault the guy for his strategy. It's obviously working. I'm convinced he's going to double me up with it at some point along the line, but it's obviously working for him at this stage. He's getting people to fold, and he's not having to show us what he's playing, which is sort of the point of poker. Now this is one of those hands that high-low players have wet dreams about. Literally, we wake up in the middle of the night looking for tissues after dreams about hands like this. So I'm definitely involved in this pot. Of course, when we've got such a beautiful set of low cards coming out, it of course comes out with a flop, something like that, which essentially kills all of the equity in our hand, or most of the equity in our hand. We're obviously still playing some backdoor straights with the, but yeah, I mean that ace has just, we've still got lows, we still got lows that work, and we're on a 4 deuce, so it's the same situation as we were before. We're not going to be on the nut low, but we're going to be on a very strong low if the low comes in, and the low has come in. We are probably splitting this pot with we've got the second nut low. So I think when Lucky pot bets, I think we have to just hold our nose and do this and hope that it comes through. I mean, we're not competing on high. I don't think. Well, I know we're not competing on high, but I think that we're definitely competing on the low. And yeah, so I mean, I think I had to sort of hold my nose and go in on that. He could have been obviously playing a 3 deuce and doing it that way, but it just didn't feel that way. And with his betting patterns in the past, it didn't feel like he was gonna always be that nutty when he did that. And sure enough, he wasn't. What was his low, as a matter of fact? He had an... Oh, he had no low. Did he have a chance of a low? Let's have a look at whether he had a chance of a low in his hand. What did he fold? 6-5. Yeah, so he had a chance of a low. Oh, the 6-5 with the ace. So yeah, there's a reasonable hand to be playing. So he would have hit a pair of queens on this board with nothing else. Now with the 8-7-5-4 ace low, doubtful that would have won us any pots, I think. So yeah, that's not winning us any pots. This is a decent high-low hand to play. We've got the clubs and the spades, and we don't have 3 of either suit, so that makes the suits a little stronger, I think. The deuce 4-5-7 is not a horrible low set, but I think I'm going to just lay back. I don't really need to play, and I've got 20 big blinds, so I'm still okay. Yeah, he's definitely made that move before. He makes that move. He makes that move a lot. That's he makes that move. He makes that move a lot. It's his fun move. I think it's working for him though. So I mean, who am I to criticize him for making it? It's obviously we're obviously folding when he makes it. So. This is definitely hand 5-5-3-3 deuce that we want to be involved in. We definitely want to see a flop. If we can see a cheap flop with this, we definitely want to see. And any sorts of like ace fours, deuce fours, 4-6s, anything like that is just a lovely thing. Queen 10-7 with 2 clubs is obviously not the sort of flop we were looking for, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's horrible for us yet. We're getting really big odds on this pot, but I don't really think our drawing out odds are that huge at this point. That flop was not favorable for us, and the turn card has killed all of our low, and we don't really have any highs. I mean, the 5s and the 3s are both dead, so we're looking for a 5 or a 3 at this point to improve the trips at least. So I really don't think that there is any. After the flop, I really don't think that we've got enough value in that hand to keep going. We basically lost all of our value with the flop. And again, this is not a strong enough hand for us to really want to get involved with. We've got straight possibilities in both low and high end, but the 4-5 is sort of at the upper end. Um, and we've got to draw into something in order to make it a better hand. So, alrighty, we've capped our guaranteed prize pool now. We're up to 2,100 entrants total for 2,505. Well, there's 2,101 now, so 10,505 in the prize pool. There's 938 people left. 938 people left in the tournament, and we've got 272 caching places. I'm going to shut the mic down and go off for a break, and I will be back shortly here on Anything But Hold'em. And we're back with anything but Hold'em, playing the Micro Millions 089 no limit 5 card Omaha high low tournament. Not doing so great, 2187 chips from our starting stack of 5,000, but we're still not in horrible shape, and we've still got 20 big blinds to work with and play with, or 18 or something like that at the current state. So we're not doing too horrible. Yeah, I agree, Matt. And actually, the fact that I'd seen him do that with the nut low draw before was kind of what made me think that he might not have it this time, because he's been doing these shoves so often. He can't have the nut. He can't be nutted every time he's been doing those big over raises. So that sort of factored into my thinking with that. It's probably not a great thing to factor, not a great way to factor into your thinking, but what can I say? In that particular case, it worked. Our tournament numbers now are 2201. So we got just over $11,000 in the prize pool. Almost 1,900 bucks up top for first. And our min cash at 288th is $8.70. I think we're gonna see if we can get to a cheap flop on this one and see what develops from there. Again, with Lucky in the big blinds, it's or in the blinds. I mean, he's in the small blind, not the big blind. But with him in the blinds, it kind of makes me worry a little bit about putting money in the pot this early in position. But can't fold out forever. In 3 minutes, I'll be down to just over 10 big blinds. So I've got to do something reasonably quickly at this stage. Still 25 minutes left in registration, so I mean, there's still going to be a few more people pop in. I'm guessing at this stage fewer people will join. I mean, you're still joining with a fair number of blinds, but you're looking only at like 40 big blinds now, so I think that there's probably some people that aren't as comfortable at that level, although there's still going to be a lot of people that are perfectly comfortable at that level, and that's the level that they want to start at. So I think we're going to see some of those people come in, and they're going to be people that are dangerous because they're going to be experienced in the format, or at least experienced in the format of how to play 40 big blind stacks in an MTT environment, and that's could cause us problems. It's been a fun tournament though, win or lose. It's been fun to play the 5 card Omaha high low. Like I said, it's not a game that I've really played before. This is my first foray into it, so if I cash, it's a bonus. I think at this point, I largely tried to win the ticket so that I could show it on the stream, because I hadn't shown a 5 card Omaha on the stream before, and I wanted to add it in. So yeah, it's just sort of a lark at this point, and if I cash, it's just bonus money at that point. We are obviously setting low on the chip count, but that could very easily change with one big hand. Obviously, at this point, I mean, we could easily be at 5 or 6 thousand chips after one big hand, or even as many as 9 or 10 thousand chips if we're in it three ways, and end up scooping something two or three or four ways where we could easily be right back in this with a big massive stack. So I'm not hugely worried at this point. I do know that I have to act at some point. As I said, when we get into the 75-150 blind level, my number of big blinds is severely diminished, so I need to change my strategy and start thinking about a bit of a fold shove game. I think at that point, rather than this limping and seeing flops and stuff, but I'm still not in a position where I'm really desperate to get my money in with any hand that I see. It's nice to get the final big blind at the level. I'm sure this will be the final one. Yeah, it's already switched over now into the next blind level. So nice, always nice to get the final blind at the level, so you get a bit of a discount over the next round. Hard play. Good to see you. Well, sorry, man. I can't take bribes for support, but hope you find some money for your Diablo. We're gonna get rid of that most of the time. The 7-8 pair of deuces, not the greatest in the low world, so. Queen, queen, jack, king, 7, not the greatest hand in the world. Oh, it's interesting. I must have missed a hand. I'm gonna have to go back in my hand history because Lucky's got no chips anymore, and he used to have a massive stack. So I didn't see what happened with that. There we go. Recusant underscore 89 took him down with a better two pair and a better low. So I knew it was going to happen eventually. I knew he was gonna do it at the wrong time in the wrong place and double somebody up eventually. And there we go. He's out of the tournament now at 998th. It's a shame it wasn't me that benefited from that. But that's the way poker goes. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's the other guy that benefits from it. But you got to keep your eye on people like that. I mean, I knew that eventually he was going to have an explosion and end up handing his chips or a big chunk of his chips over to somebody in a misplayed hand. That seemed I shouldn't say misplayed, but in an overplayed hand. Changes the dynamic of the table though, without having to worry about his weird bet sizing, his massive weird bet sizing. It really makes the table a different place. So we'll have to kind of reassess how we're looking at the table then. This is obviously a hand that you'd be interested in a straight high game with the ace, king, queen, jack, the suits of the hearts and the diamonds, and not having three of a suit. But in the low hand, where you don't eight ace is your only low. It's not really something that you're going to be that thrilled with. So, sorry, hard play. Wish I could, buddy, but that's the way it goes. Hey, Lomex, how's it going, man? Good to see you here, buddy. Good to see you. We're playing, as you can see, no limit 5-card Omaha high-low in the Micro Millions 89. I won a ticket in Saddies today, playing the Saddies specifically so I could stream this tournament tonight to show some 5-card Omaha high-low on my stream. Managed to scoop the ticket. I'm not entirely sure that I scooped it for less than the buy-in price. I'm pretty sure I didn't scoop it for more than the buy-in price, so I'm pretty sure it was a wash at worst, but I did spend some money and some FPPs in order to actually be in this tournament. This is a lot like the previous hand. Our nines are a decent high hand, but nothing to write home about. Ace again with the ace, king, queen. There's no low in this case at all, so it's just not worth being involved with. We'd have paired our queen, which means we'd be on top pair, top kicker at this point, but obviously we have no low draw, so anybody that's still playing for their low is having the pot with us. And somebody playing a couple of queens is ahead of us, a couple of threes, a couple of deuces. There's all sorts of hands that'll draw out on us from there. Registration closes in 16 minutes now. We currently have, as you can see in the lobby on the bottom right of your screen, we currently have 2,294 people registered in the tournament for a total prize pool of 11,470. $9.06 for a min cash at 288th. First place up top, getting you almost $2,000 at $1,972.25. That was going to be a foldable hand most of the time, I think. We would hit a pair of sevens, but there's going to be a king out there almost every time. So we're going to be in bad shape, I think, a lot of the time here. The lows not really helping us much at all in that situation, so we're going to be in bad shape a lot of the time. We've probably got one or two more orbits at most before we need to start seriously thinking about getting our chips in with some of the hands that we've been looking at going, well, we probably don't have quite enough value to be shoving that here. We are going to start having enough value to be shoving those here pretty quick. So that's going to start to change our strategies. But I think we've got at least one or two more orbits before we seriously have to start being concerned about that and start looking for shove opportunities on every hand. At this point, we're still looking for opportunities with high value. The amount of value that we need for those opportunities is going to be dropping fairly radically in an orbit or two. We're going up to 100, 200, so I'm going to be less than 10 big blinds in 2 minutes as well, so that obviously affects the strategy. I'm probably going to get through this blind level on the 150 or on the 75 at 150, which is going to leave me over 1,500 chips. But at the 200 level, of course, that's going to put me at about 8 big blinds, 7.5 big blinds. So I'm going to need to really be looking to get those chips in the middle to try to double up and try to build another stack that I can survive longer with. The hands with big blinds where I have a ton of value or some value in them, I'm also going to need to be shoving those as well, I think, over either over open raises or over the table limping into me. If I can shove those and get people to fold, I'm picking up a crap load of value, and there's a lot of where they're limping around. And I think I can pick up some value. Got a few new people at the table now. Choppenhoy came in Lucky's spot from the UK. Greed Tekka over here from Canada. I don't recall him being here. He seems pretty new. I think Thinker Guy has just popped in as well over here. But of course, Rakusant, Silby, and Bozzy, we've been battling with them since the start of the day. I'm pretty sure. So. Well, so we're at the 200, 100, 200 blind levels. I'm sitting with an ace 3-4. Um, it's a shame that it's not the ace of diamonds, that it's the king of diamonds, because that means we're not nutted in diamonds, which does weaken our hand reasonably dramatically in an Omaha, and especially a 5-card Omaha situation. But I think that the only real move that we can do at this stage is to just shove on the dude. No, same ace 3-4 that we've got, except he's got a pair of threes. We're tied with aces. I think, yeah, no, that was actually a pretty good result for that. I'm pretty happy with that. That's called quartering. I took 3/4 of the pot. He took a quarter, so it's called quartering your opponent in a high-low game. It is the next best thing to scooping the pot. I'm going to call through, see if I can get see if I can see the cheap flop. It obviously hasn't helped my hand a great deal, but that's clearly a hand that you've got really good possibilities for. They're almost all in the low end, though, and with no hearts and no low cards on the flop, our equity's gone to zero. It's one of the reasons why we don't raise hands like this necessarily pre-flop with a small stack, because although there's tons of potential value in them, all of that potential value gets realized depending up on the flop, and you can. I mean, in this case, I've literally flopped nothing. Worse than nothing almost. I've got 3 nines with an ace high at this point, and that's it. That's all I have. So I'm in really bad shape against anybody with a pair, against anybody with a king, and when there's people with 5 cards out there, people are going to have pairs. People are going to have a king. Those are going to be out there in almost all the cases. So as soon as that flop comes down, I've got zero equity left in the hand. It is great to see you back, Lomax. Glad you could pop in. I don't know if you've played any 5-card Omaha or not, but if you have, chime in. Let me know. Let us know what you think of the strategy. I haven't played any of this before today. Really, I'm only playing it for the stream for the most part. Of course, I do play high-low games a fair bit, so I'm fairly comfortable on that end, and I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be playing this if it was just a 5-card Omaha high, straight high game. It's really the high-low component that got me interested. Not really interested in a hand like this. There's very, very few low possibilities. The highs are not that strong either. So I don't think it's worth getting involved with there. For the record, I've ordered Chinese food to the house, so I may break the stream for a second and go off mic for a few minutes while I pause if I have to go run and pay for the Chinese food when it comes. But hopefully that will happen when we're already on a break. I'm breaking the new scientific rule. If you read Poker News Canada, which you probably should do at ca.pokernews.com, there was just recently, I had an article in there talking about a recent scientific study that says you should always do things like gamble when you're hungry or in some sort of a hot state like hunger or sexual arousal or stuff like that. And the